cycle, outside groups spent at least $209 million in a total of 38 states. What does this mean for the bankrolling of elections going forward? Here to break it down is Justin Wilson from the Center for Union Facts. Justin, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. It's my pleasure.
So for the past several years, the line from the White House has been the Supreme Court decision on campaign finance allows big business to buy elections. And I think most people think that the majority of money spent by outside groups comes from big business. That's not the case, though.
You know, it's such an easy narrative to sort of tell that story, and we hear it time and time again. What people haven't been reporting is that labor unions, being faced with near extinction, are resurgent, and they are almost spending themselves out of existence, if only so they can actually have some gains in terms of their long-term existence. What we've seen is that they've invested more heavily in state and local elections because they ultimately have an outsized influence. So whether it's a city council race or a state legislature, we've seen labor unions invest heavily in the last few years.
So this is all an outgrowth, again, of the Citizens United decision handed down by the Supreme Court that allowed this. And again, I think the average person on the left, the average liberal, is appalled by this Supreme Court decision and may not know that, in fact, it has helped the Democratic Party, correct?
You know, exactly. Unions are corporations in the same way that corporations are corporations, and as such, they're allowed to spend money out of their general treasury. What separates a labor union from a normal corporation, though, is that they can get money from their individual members' paychecks. Every single time a person gets a paycheck, the union takes a small amount of that money and spends it on politics. The difficulty is that we have this really frustrating disconnect between union members, who are about 40 to 50% voting Republican, and labor unions, who give almost 100% of their political contributions to Democrats. But without getting any permission from the labor union or from the individuals, the unions take money from employees and spend it against their own political wills. The advantage, or the, excuse me, the one good thing is that we've seen a bill introduced in Congress actually just on Thursday called the Employee Rights Act that would actually seek to remedy this and would force unions to get opt-in permission from their individual members to spend money on politicians in state and local elections and federal elections before they could actually take the money out of their paychecks.
What's so surprising is that in some cases, and I've experienced this personally in my own life, you are required, in effect, to join a union in order to have a certain job. You have no choice. So you have to join the union, and then your money is taken without your consent and spent on political campaigns you might not agree with. That's pretty surprising.
That is exactly what's going on in a lot of the non-right-to-work states in this country. In fact, what we've seen in our own research is that when it comes to the union's political programs, they make it next to impossible to opt out, which is the current requirement of their political programs. You know, it'll be, well, they'll say, oh, well, next February, there's a 2-week period and you need to send a notarized letter to the union's general counsel, and we're not going to tell you what his address is. But if you sign it and you get it, you know, double stamped and so on and so forth, then you can actually not participate in the union's political program. But time and time again, people find that impossible to actually do. That's why the Employee Rights Act is such an important piece of legislation, because it would flip the tables on this. It would require unions to get pre-approval from union members. And what we're going to see from a political perspective is that unions, if this bill is passed, would see themselves groping for a lot of the money that they are secretly injecting into our political system.
Interesting. So next time someone tells you Citizens United you know, empowered the Koch brothers, you can respond by saying, actually, it was the unions who benefited from it. Thanks a lot, Justin. We appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Your
Have a nice morning.